Oh man, y'all know what time it is. Tech-Theonomy-Tuesdays. We haven't had a lot of shows like this. Although, I'm happy for the ones we have had. Everybody inside of Spaces, you know what to do. I see you in there. Go ahead and hit the share button. This is going to be a really special show because I'm not by myself today. I love how you guys just pop in when it's time. Y'all don't waste no time getting involved. And everybody out there right now, I see you on Facebook. I see you on YouTube. What's up, y'all? And I see you on Twitter video. Oh, I just dead named. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to dead name you. X. There's X video, and then there's the Spaces that we're doing. We're in both places. So everybody hit the share button, hit the like button, and this is going to be a great time for you to join the conversation. If you're concerned at all, and I think a lot of people are pretty concerned about the direction that tech is going. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. It was Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro had a little bit of a kind of back and forth on whether or not we should have self-driving cars. And it was really disappointing. Hey, what's up? I see you, Nicola. Okay. I can't see. I need glasses. Don't blame me, but I see you over there on Facebook. I usually find myself agreeing a lot with Tucker Carlson, but this time I thought he was really wrong. He said he would ban self-driving vehicles because it would put millions of people out of business. And I'm like, what kind of fear do you have to think that human beings themselves, what's up, Young Flav? The human beings themselves wouldn't adjust and adapt and mature and become better. Jason Cunningham, wait, from all the way back in Georgia at my church. What's up, my guy? It's good to see you. Or see that you're on YouTube. Good seeing you, brother. There's one of my elders back there in Georgia at my old church. So today I have about 4 different videos that we're going to walk through and we're going to talk about, and we're going to work out a worldview for Christians to think about tech. How do we deal with AI? How do we deal when we have trust issues? What do we do with this? Because it doesn't seem like many Christians have a worldview for this stuff. And so I've brought 2 people with me that I think are really good on this subject. One is Marcus Pittman of Lore TV, and has been my friend for a very long time. And the other one is none other than the Honorable Jason Farley. Both of them happen to be from Lore. I just want to bring everybody up on speed. I made that connection happen. I ain't trying to brag enough, but I'm bragging. I made that connection happen. But before I bring those guys in, I want to talk to you about my favorite people of all, my sponsors. That's right. I love my sponsors. You know why? Because they get to make sure I get things like this. See this mug right here? This is lovely. This is a lovely mug. And it feels good. Most mugs, they're all the same. Let's just be honest. This one has a beveled end. And I know when you look at it, you get a little jealous, but you don't have to be jealous. You can go newhearttreasures.com and get you one of these lovely things. Let me tell you something. It's like it put more caffeine in my coffee. I'm just going to tell you. It's like it put something extra is in here. I think it's because it's made with love. Hannah will take care of you. Hannah owns New Heart Treasures. She is a phenomenal help to me because she gives me shirts and she gives me these nice mugs. But if you want to have something designed or made for your church, go over to newhearttreasures.com. She can help you with designs. And something that's really lovely that she does, if you just need a prayer request, send them a message and they will pray for you. I know those folks over there. They're really good people and they help me do what I do here. So go and check them out. But without any further ado, Jason Farley, Marcus Pittman, my dudes, brothers from another mother are here with me right now. So we can talk about Tech-Theonomy-Tuesdays. What's up, y'all?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Marcus, you there?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
So unmuted, but I'm here.
Okay. Muted, but here. Okay.
About the tech experts.
Yeah, Darren Stead is here too. What's up, Darren? Darren, I might call you out. All right. So listen, I need everybody to go hit the share button, hit the like button, give me some engagement so we can continue this conversation. If you guys, yes, the Farley Marcus combo. That's right. Well, it'd be the Farley Pittman combo, but I'm not trying to correct you. So I guess there's this kind of, I didn't tell you guys to have an opening statement ready, but I've noticed, and maybe I don't even know where you guys are on this. I mean, I think I know, but would you guys ban self-driving cars? Just wondering.
No,
I'm not a fascist.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Wait. Wait. No. Hold on. You can't just say that. How is that fascism to make sure that other people have jobs? I don't know why that's fascist.
It's fascism is the economic system where certain corporations are given benefits by using government power over against other corporations. So banning the development of technology to protect older technologies and give them an advantage in a free market is fascism.
You didn't answer the part about saving people's jobs, though.
So, wait, are you trying to make an emotional argument for fascism? Is that what you're doing?
I'm just maybe. I mean, but it's serious.
Oh no, that was Tucker Carlson's argument, right? He was
technically yes. Well, but there is, and by the way, guys, this is not just a conversation.
I think it's actually awful. It's because you're saying that person is only capable of driving cars or doing something a robot can do.
Okay, we're going to get there. So then here's what I want to do. I want to make sure
that's the equivalent of subsidizing whale oil when gasoline is first invented.
Okay.
We don't want that.
Okay, so here's the deal. If anybody wants to jump in on this conversation, they're more than welcome to. I'm going to open this up, but here's the rule. If you're going to jump in on this conversation, you're going to have to prove to me in one way or another that you have shared this show. So I'm going to invite, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to put this in the chats. Boom. Inside of YouTube and Facebook, there is a link for the video if you want to come in and have this conversation with us. I need to take this same link. I'm going to put it on X so that people on X, if they want to join in there, they can come in and join us there as well. But also on Spaces, if you're on Spaces and you want to jump in on this conversation, I just got the link going over to my Spaces, and I'm going to post this for you guys there. All right. If you guys want to jump in on Spaces, you know the deal on Spaces. You have to have had shared this Spaces in order to be able to talk. So I want to start off. Let me share this real quick. How about I do a little music while I share this real quick? So that way you guys don't get. Shouldn't have left you without dope beat this step too.
I could sing you.
No, don't please. All right, we're done. Okay, we're done. I don't need any more help. I got it. Thank you. Okay, so here's.
Was that the whitest beatboxing you've ever heard?
No, I've heard worse. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not gonna lie to you. So here's the deal. I want to start off with the easy stuff because there's a lot of things floating around right now that are making people's cases that we better figure out how in the world we're going to deal with this technology. One of them is stuff with war. Remember when the Ukrainian war broke off with Russia? There was all kinds of stories out there about this ace pilot that had 5 kills in one day or something like that, and nobody knew what they can trust for information anymore. And so this video here, I'm going to bring up. This video right here is a 3D rendering of a car that's on fire. I can't remember exactly from where, but everybody was sharing this and said, guys, this is fake. And then they proved that it was fake by showing its original form and setup. But when you see this, man, that lighting is good. I mean, there's stuff that's low budget films that don't look this good. And this is all AI generated. And so in a world now where you can't trust your own eyes we used to be able to say.
Is it AI generated or is it made in Unity? Or Unreal Engine? It was made on Unreal Engine. I don't.
Real
Engine.
Yeah, thank you. That's
Unreal Engine. Yeah.
Yeah, Unreal Engine. But when you have something like that, what are the limits you need to put on something like this? Or can you put limits on this? How do you govern something like this?
That's going to make some great video games. Why would you want to limit that?
Well, because. And here's why you would want to limit this, because no one can believe any narrative anymore when you can do things like this. Oh, they just blew up a building over in, Hamas. Let's just use the hospital. They blew up the hospital. Here's video of them have blown up the hospital. This is what it looks like now. And the only evidence you have is the things that you see before you right there in that moment. And if you can't trust your own eyeballs, how can you make assessments on whether or not you need to be involved in the situation?
I mean, I would make the argument I'm sure the monks made was that if everybody has a printing press, can't everybody make their own newspaper? like, how do we trust? That's what the Catholic Church was saying, right? Like, we can't have just anybody printing the Bible. They'll put errors in it, and then we won't know. So I think like every step of technology, there's always the fear of, oh no, now anybody can download Unreal Engine in their home, and they can make these video. They can make, I guess, because they've just videos now that look realistic and can be used for propaganda. But the truth is, the government's doing that anyway. Right? I think I feel like the best thing to do is to decentralize it so everybody has access to the technology.
So
And then,
everything's fake now.
no, but everybody knows how to verify it. Because if only the government has it, there's no way only the government can verify it. But if you got 4chan looking through and analyzing every pixel because they're experts in it, I would much rather have that for verification. Just the crowd. I would much rather have a capable crowd than just I know. Look, the government's already got stuff way more advanced than this anyway. Right? Like Snowden, made that very clear several years ago. So, and then we know that Google is doing government contracts with the DoD for AI and all this other sort of stuff. So, it's already happening.
This isn't it's not the first time we've dealt with the issue, because the late 1800s, the Spanish-American War was started with false newspaper reports.
Right.
And we ended up in a war because a newspaper lied about an attack by Spanish ships on an American ship out in the Gulf, and which turned out to not be true. But the war was already started by the time it came out that report wasn't true. So it's not the first time that we've dealt with this, and it's why we need really a clear understanding of both biblical justice and a biblical understanding of when do we get to say that we know something is true.
Say that last part again, because I lost you just for a little bit.
Oh, why we need both a biblical understanding of justice and a biblical understanding of how we know something's true. Like, what does it look like to have multiple witnesses? And when I got in a car wreck when I was a teenager, and when they tried to bring in photographs as evidence that were blown up, that were expanded, they got disallowed in court because they didn't believe that the technology to expand or they didn't have a court ruling on whether or not the technology to expand the size of a picture kept its accuracy. And so they had to pass this, but they had photographs that you could allow in evidence. You just had to prove that the photographs were of the actual incident, and then you could pass them around the jury. So, this is something that we've been wrestling with both in law and in war for a long time.
So, it's funny you say that. I think there's a mindset that's here. I want to get to this a little more, but there's a mindset of here that wants to run away from this and say we need to put limits on it and make sure that nobody else has it, instead of saying how do we run to it so that we can verify it better. And I think, Marcus, that's making a really good point. I was reading over in Joshua, and the idea of deception is not a new idea, especially to war, like you were saying, Jason. They deceived. I can't remember I can't remember who it was, but they wasn't AI. I can't remember who it was, but they ran up to they were going to fight. They came back. The guys in the stronghold came after Israel. Israel fled. Then when Israel fled, they ran inside and took the city and blew up smoke and fire. And when the bad guys saw that Israel had taken the city, they turned and went back. And then Israel was able to trap them because they were inside and they were outside and came through, and their enemies fled all sorts of different ways. And I was thinking to myself, it's not, using deception in war is not necessarily a bad thing. It's okay to be able to do that. The problem is not when it comes to war, it becomes to anything. When people use deception on Amazon, and when you see a dress that they make it look like it's going to fit you like this, it's going to be cut like this, and that's really not the dress or the pants or the shoes. And then when you get them, be like, I don't want this. So, but if we have an ethic that comes back and disciplines those people who use deception in a unlawful way, then we should be okay to deal with this. I guess here, I want to move to this next video because there's cyber deception. You don't know what you can trust. You can't trust your news anymore because they're getting the stories wrong, but they're not coming back and telling you. So we have to, and this is what I wanted to say with what Marcus was talking about. We have to run to these things in order to figure out, okay, who in our circles, who in oh, Tim just popped in. Oh, hi Tim. We'll get you in a second. Who else is a source out there that we can trust to give us the truth on the issue? And what we really have, I was reading what Darren was saying. I think he's making a joke. What we really have is a lack of people in that field that we can trust. So, and think about it like this. When Tucker Carlson was at Fox News, we knew we couldn't trust hardly anybody else but Tucker. Right? Like we knew we didn't trust Laura. I mean, she was, we didn't trust Sean, but Tucker, because he was actually having the conversation that all of us really wanted him to have. And so Tucker was able to garnish a following because he was telling the truth, and those things added up. We don't have people in this particular field right now, I think, a strong Christian presence in this field where we can say they have a Christian ethic, they have a Christian worldview, and they have a duty to tell the truth. And so that's what I think a lot of people are afraid of. Instead of being afraid of the tech and what it can do, we probably need to be more concerned about, hey, do we have our own folks involved with the tech?
I'll tell you right now, we do.
Yeah.
Right. But
we sold all our tech, right? We were like, whatever conservatives had ownership of, especially like early days Silicon Valley, we already exited that, right? We took our money and we gave it to the liberals. And now the liberals are running Google, the liberals are running Apple and, whatever other company. But I think dispensationalism had a lot to say in that too. I would argue too, because you want to just get your money now, because, the idea of great-great-grandchildren later isn't really a feasible option. And so we've just all built stuff and exited. And now we're in a situation where all the people who have all the technology, we can't trust. And it's not us that has it.
Well, and this is what, Jason, we talked the other day about priestly work and having priestly duties. This is just one of those areas where Christians have not functioned really well as priests, and the other false worshipers have functioned really well being priests to their God with their tech, right?
Yeah, you're going to lift up whatever it is you're using to a God in how you use it. It's always that's always what you're doing. And so when you are lifting it up to false gods, it's like a scalpel is a tool, and you can use it to heal or you can use it to harm, and a lot of that comes down to what God are you serving the scalpel with. So yeah, and I think that's the same thing with tech. We flee technology as if God doesn't have the ability to use it well. That God can't guide us into the proper use of different technologies. And I think AI is exactly one of those technologies that it's going to have its proper use. And we're still working it out.
I would argue that if the technology exists, then the gospel has gone out enough for God to allow us to have the tech. Right? Because I don't think the tech would exist without God's permission. And there's a lot of technology that didn't exist until the gospel went out to a certain was covered the world enough. And I think
okay, that's really interesting. You might want to hold on because there's some other videos coming up that might make you want to take that one back. I'm just saying you might want to eat that. Okay, so we're going from easy to hard. So we got the fake videos that are coming out, how to deal with that ethic. really it's the ethic points at this engagement. We don't retreat from it. We run to it, figure out how to verify it, use the technology, make sure it's not limited so that only the government has it, but everybody has it. And we have some sort of, would you say, like a form of blockchain that identifies whether or not this is real or not, you know?
It might be blockchain. It might just be, just like, antivirus software. I use Clean My Mac. There's people actively trying to make viruses, and then there's people that are actively fighting it. And, I pay, I don't know, $24 a year, I think, to this group that is actively building antivirus software. I think we just need AI detection software that we support.
All right, so this one's kind of cool.
You could turn a video into a completely photorealistic 3D world. This is going to change graphics forever. It's called 3D Gaussian splatting. The hell is that? Well, let me explain. It's a class of neural radiance field tech. It basically allows you to take a video, turn it into a series of pictures, and with those pictures, recreate that video into a richly detailed 3D world. What's so cool about that? Damn, you're hard to impress. Well, a lot. Let me give you two dope examples. One is for filmmaking. So capture a video of any environment, and if you want to change the angles of the shot later on, you have it in full 3D now, so no problem. It also makes for really unique VFX. The other is live event capture, like concerts or sports. Using this tech in the near future, imagine flying around a stadium and going wherever you want in real time. And if you want to stay updated on the latest and greatest in tech, content, and culture, hit that follow. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
Jason,
I didn't see that video. Did you send me that?
I did see that video. That's nasty. I mean, by just default, I love that Joker, right? As a filmmaker, I love that. I think that's amazing.
That was exactly my thought is, oh man, I can't wait to get in there and tell a story with that technology. And even just the possibilities of building a story world in which people have, it almost can turn anything into a video game, where you can explore within the world. You can pause, watch a scene from multiple directions. I'm in on that. That sounds amazing.
Well, this is one of those technologies that the common man is able to get his hands on. Marcus and I used to do a show called Sola Gadgeta, where we, in 60 seconds, went through all the new hot tech every day. Remember
that show would be so crazy now with AI. Like, I don't even think we could even fathom AI when we were doing that show.
No, but this is one of the things. One of the things that they had there was a camera that you could take a picture and in post choose your focus of your. This was years ago. And now that kind of technology has become just common in a lot of phones and a lot of and
I've got it in my hand.
Shut up. I don't care.
No, I mean you could do that with cinematic mode on the iPhone now.
That's insane. As a filmmaker, you have to work and develop the talents to be able to pull focus. And whether or not you pull focus properly determines if the shot and that moment is ruined or it's amazing, right? And to be able to not have to worry about that and just to point the camera and allow a person to be able to act their best out and to be able to control the lighting in post where you can put things at because of AI and be able to have a completely different angle on that person. Now the ability to communicate and tell stories has become greater and broader for the more average person. And so nobody's limited anymore to like, oh, I don't have a producer. Oh, I don't have a graphics effects guy. Oh, you don't have to complain about what you don't have anymore. You have this right at your fingertips.
And I would argue that's why I think the guys who learn how to use that technology to make low budget films, outside of unions, outside of the Hollywood regulations that make the prices more expensive, the people that learn how to make stories cheaply using the tools that we have now are they're gonna be the next storytellers of the generation.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that? Because there's so much I can say about that video. I mean, budget just got cheaper.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but everybody. Okay, if you got a 15-year-old right now who loves a show, you should encourage them to try and make their own. I really think so. If you have an iPhone or a phone at all, they're all really encourage them to try and say, hey, I wonder if you can do that. What if you can tell a short story in 30 seconds? Do a beginning, do a middle, and do an end. And if they find that they love that thing, the kind of filmmaker they will be in 5 years will blow us away. And the tools that they'll have. There's a kid he's not a kid anymore. He's a man married with a bunch of kids. His name was Adrian Rink. Adrian, when I found Adrian, he was a homeschooler who was making his own films on Facebook years ago, back in 2010, maybe, when I found him. And he just had made bunches and bunches of videos, and he was using duct tape and making his own glass. And from it, this dude now is like, he's just amazing. In every way, he's amazing and knows every in and out of the industry. But taking those 5 years to develop that skill makes them a master at a lot younger age than we currently would have to. Most of the time when people got out of film school, then they got to spend another 5 years actually being practical about it, and learn how to do it. And they really still aren't that good because they don't have access to money to be able to make their own films, to be able to practice, to be able to fail over and over again. We get that now. We have social media platforms where 13-year-olds are making more money than all three of us put together.
That's absolutely
which is
true.
not that hard. But but that's where I think it's going to come down to who actually develops the basics of storytelling and that skill, right? Because the technology makes leaps and bounds like this, but the principles of telling good stories don't change.
But you reference that a lot too, Jason. You're talking about what's the people that do the Barbie doll stories?
Yeah, so we have one of the, I think, strongest shows that we've been working with to develop is the medium is called toy play, and which nobody takes seriously, but because it is a kind of puppetry where you can see the hands moving the puppets, and so people think they don't take the medium seriously, but we've got these folks. They started as kids in homeschool, like you were saying, developing and working on how to tell good stories, and so by the time they hit their late teens, early 20s, they're expert storytellers that have gone on and made really some incredible movies for DreamWorks and Sony, and done things that are incredible. And they started with the tech that they had in front of them, which was cameras on phones and puppets that basically like toys and dolls that they used as puppets.
G.I. Joes and Barbie dolls, yeah.
G.I. Joes and Barbie dolls, and they made but you start watching them and you can't quit, because by the time they started actually putting them out, they were expert storytellers, telling these incredible stories, and the technology improvements made it cheaper for them to tell stories, but it was the years of studying and working at the craft of storytelling that made them experts. They had their 10,000 hours in by the time they graduated high school.
Darren Stid just popped into here real quick, and I'm going to open it up. Darren, go ahead. What do you want to say, man?
Yo, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
First of all,
Darren.
your camera's wrong, Darren. You're supposed to turn it the other way. What are you doing?
Sorry,
This is
man.
vertical mode, bro.
I'm on my phone and I couldn't get it to work. I probably shouldn't even be talking about technology, to be honest with you. I'm in boomer mode here.
Go ahead, Darren. You got the floor.
Hey, you can edit it though later, right?
You know what? You're going to get kicked off real quick. You keep saying that. You got one more again. All
right. No, here's something I was thinking about as you guys were talking about this. I just had this conversation with my kids the other day. Like this technology that you guys are talking about. Something I think Christians really need to think about on this topic is the concept of using this technology as an enhancement to the world God created versus using it as a alternate world to the world that God created. And my kids and I were just talking through this the other day. Like there are some people that want to take this technology and they want to use it to create an alternate world. They're trying to escape the world that God created. But if you have a biblical worldview and you teach your kids to have a biblical worldview, you can show them how to take this AI and these same technologies you're talking about and use it to enjoy and celebrate and appreciate the world that God created. And it becomes an enhancement. And in that way, it's an awesome thing. And I think Christians really need to start thinking about that a little bit more, as we teach our kids about technology, as I sit here with my phone on vertical mode. as we're teaching our children about technology and how to think about technology, there is a biblical worldview that comes with engaging some of these things, and it has to do with the beauty of the world God created and how we use this technology to interact with the beautiful world that God created.
That's good stuff, man. It's good. Anybody want to add anything else? Because I want to keep moving on to the video.
No, I think that's a really good way to think about it. Right? Are we trying to become gods of our own tiny little world, or are we trying to tell stories that move us towards the world God made and towards a better ability to enjoy Him? And
yeah, exactly.
That's good stuff.
Exactly it. That's a good way to say it.
Darren, thank you for being bold, unlike everybody else who's been on here so far, and actually coming and chatting with us. Appreciate you, man. I open up the phones to be able to talk to people, and they don't actually, they want to talk. I'm like, it's open conversation, people. This is crowdsourced content. Oh, Sean Graham. Hello, Sean. Welcome to the conversation.
What's up, Marcus? What's up, Jason? How y'all doing?
Hey, guys.
Hey,
how's it going?
Good to see you too, I guess, man. What's up?
You got the floor, buddy. What you got to say?
Well, I think it's interesting that you guys were talking about the handheld doll thing. My original career, I started out working in an ad agency, and we did the same thing with the Boba Fett, looking like he was shooting at us, and and stuff like that. And we were playing with that and stop motion kind of stuff, trying to learn. Oh, I mean, goodness, Maya and everything else, trying to get the motion capture stuff down while we were trying to craft that for our clients. And at that point, we went on to develop the first non-film based broadcast commercial in Memphis and actually send it directly to a TV station. That was high tech. That was rocket science back in the mid 90s. Everything had to go to film. This is not something that we need to be afraid of. All this technology just needs to have godly people in control of it. And we need to understand that these systems are here since the beginning of creation. There's nothing we're making that's new. God put all the elements into the universe when He spoke it into existence. We're not creating something that He's never comprehended. These are going to be issues that we can control and we can master. But the problem is, we need more godly people speaking into these industries like advertising, film, the military. I mean, we have to have godly people there. I just had this conversation this morning. I don't know if y'all know, Alan Jackson, a pastor out of Murfreesboro, was speaking at an event at lunch. And he was talking about, we got to have a spine. We got to stand up. And if it's 5th generation warfare or whatever it is, we got to be able to speak into this. We've got to engage on these things, that we cannot shy away from it, because it's all, God is either the master of everything or is the master of nothing. He created all of this for His good glory, and we have to engage on this. We have to teach. I love what you guys are saying about the kids. They're miles beyond where we were professionally a decade ago.
That's
but
right.
The glory to God, you see these homeschool kids, they're able to already start careers up. And that's where we really need to be going, is not shying away from. I had in my marketing world, I run across a lot of politicians. I actually had a politician ask me, can you help us craft a law, to help control or rein in AI? And my instant reaction was, do you even know what it is? How do you rein in something if you don't know what it is? Stop being so scared. Let's figure out, the VCR created a porn industry in the 80s that has yet to be controlled. And it went online, and we never really figured out, we can't mess with Hollywood. We can't touch that. And I think it was our fear that allowed them to flourish in Hollywood and LA and all those smutty industries that grew in the cover of the night, in the dark VCR, the video bookstore, the adult bookstores. That's what they were, and they had all the movie stores, all that. I think we need to engage this stuff. I really do. I think if we plow into this with a Christian worldview, if we're truly trying to claim this element for Christ and utilize it for our churches, utilize it for our marketing, utilize it for all of our industry. I mean, we need lore. We need movies made. We need stuff that's of top quality. Disney shouldn't be the only one who's producing this kind of stuff. And we've got to get better at this rather than just, we can't touch that. That's scary new stuff. We don't know nothing about it. We need a backbone. We've got to engage on this stuff.
That's good stuff, man. Thank you for joining the conversation. That was really good. Appreciate it.
I think one of the important things to remember too is the way that we get to the point where we're producing the same quality level as Disney, as that sort of thing, is by practicing with what we've got.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You hear a lot of people say, well, the reason that Christian movies are terrible is because they don't have the budgets. But that when the Christians get a big budget, it does not solve our issues.
If you can't do it with this, if you can't do it with this, I don't trust you. Seriously.
I mean, Marcus and I we read a lot of books on just the history of television, and we both just were working through Homie Don't Play That, The History of In Living Color.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Book.
Great book.
So, but one of the things that's amazing is, it's so good.
The history of In Living Color and the Black Comedy Revolution.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's really good. But what you see is that those guys were putting in the work, starting as teenagers. They were putting in the work. They're putting in the work on stage. They're putting in the work writing. So by the time they get the and then In Living Color didn't have huge budgets, but they were ready to go, and they knew what they were doing. And the number of empires, of media empires that were launched out of that whole movement, I mean, I don't think you can even count them and realize how many there are. The
Jim
Keenan
Carrey,
Ivory
Wayans
Wayans
brothers,
the Wayans brothers, the Martin, oh man, who else came through?
David Allen Greer,
Chris Rock, David Allen Greer,
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
Did he come
well,
through?
He was
in
a little bit
Color?
before that.
No, he didn't come through in
He
Living
was a
Colors.
little bit before that, but he hung out with him.
Yeah, he hung out with him. He was like the old hat, but he was like 24.
Yeah. Well, you can't even.
Oh, he's the one with all the experience, because he got started so young. So, but they were putting in the work, because Black comedy had a place where you could go. It had a crucible that you had to get through before you were out in front of everybody else. And Christian media doesn't. We haven't developed the crucible that people have to go through, and the work. It's available. It's always available to everyone, because the crucible just has to do with hard work and high standards. But there's not a location where you can go and have to get to the through the crucible now. So you have to build your own crucible.
But that's what was really fascinating, was like when they when you would have a Black comedian on the Tonight Show, there wasn't a lot of venues for success post Tonight Show. So when you would have a Black comedian come up there and he did really well, and he sat on the couch with Johnny Carson, any other comedian would get movie deals, would do all these other sort of things. But for the Black comedians, there wasn't that many options, other than, I think at the time it was only Bill Cosby was like the only one that was really getting all that sort of stuff. And so, but that's sort of like Christianity in a way, in the sense that we don't have any real distribution channels. So even when we get a hit, like The Chosen, Sound of Freedom, something like that, there's nothing to follow it up with, because we don't have those venues built out yet.
So Chris, I just gave Chris speaking rights, Chris Seagroves, inside of Spaces. You have the floor, sir. Go ahead and state your comment, and then we're going to move on to another clip. Chris, you there?
Yeah, am I great? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Awesome. I was just going to say, like, I feel like a lot of the fears people have been here for a long time. I read like a lesser known book by Lewis Carroll, like called Sylvia and Bruno, and they got characters in there discussing the rate at which literature keeps like getting smaller and smaller. Like you'll have a big novel, and then all of a sudden Railway comes by, and people are getting married on page 13, and they're speculating, going into electricity, is.
Oh, Chris, I'm sorry, man. I just lost you. All right. just while you were trying to get to, we'll try it again, Chris. All right. So we've been working from easier to more complicated. So we started with the war stuff. How do we deal with that? The lovely part of being able to create 3D images out of the video and use that stuff. Remember when they did the Matrix, they had like 250 or 60 cameras in a circle and they could only do that one thing. Well, now you can do Matrix for a whole movie if you wanted to move the camera. Could you imagine fight scenes like that where the camera, anyway. All right. So
Yes,
that's
I
one.
can.
Yes. All right. I'm going to save Elon for the last part of this, but this is the part, Jason, where, you know, you were talking about the youth and education. This is the part that I think a lot of people start to get a little nervous at.
Just announced a major update. It can now see, hear, and speak. It'll be
ChatGPT can now see, hear, and speak, and half of the people in the room just shivered.
completely multimodal. Let me show you what that means. So firstly, you can now use voice to engage in a back and forth conversation. And this is a preview of the future of voice assistants like Siri and Alexa, hopefully. What I really love about multimodality is that you can now use images to give context. So for example, you don't know how to lower your bike seat, you can send the image to ChatGPT and it'll give you step-by-step instructions. And you can go back and forth conversationally as you would with your handyman father on FaceTime. So for example, you can send a picture of the manual and your toolbox and it'll tell you what you need to complete the job. And you know, I've thought that OpenAI over the last year has been slowly neutering ChatGPT's capabilities, but this is an exciting update. It'll be rolling out over the next few weeks, and I think it'll likely make it the clear #1 LLM again. But all the major players are cooking. Innovation and competition in this space is going to seriously ramp up over the next few years, and to stay updated on it all and how it may affect your life, hit that follow. Catch you in the next one.
Okay, so that sounds really good. Let me tell you why I think a lot of people are concerned about. The people who I talk to, I hear that everybody sees the good side of this, right? You don't know how to do something, you can take a picture of it, and you can learn to do it. Or do you actually learn to do it? Because what people are afraid of with the technology is that they actually don't learn to do the thing anymore. They just have this, their mind is stored somewhere in their phones and not really gaining anything that makes the person of value to the world. Knowing how to change a tire should be built inside of a man. Knowing how to change a seat, those things are, you don't have to actually memorize anything anymore. Remember calculators? Everybody's like, you need to do calculators are important. Everybody was like, people didn't say, hey, when I got older, I won't need to do math because I'll just have a calculator. Now calculators are gone because you got it all in your phone. You can just ask Siri any of your questions. You don't have to remember history. Because you can just ask Siri, hey, Siri, what is this history? What is that history? Right? And so while it's lovely that we have that aspect to it, there's a side of that makes the human almost more lazier than he would have been if he had to do it beforehand.
No.
You don't think that people will get lazier because of the tech?
No, I think maybe hear me out. These things that AI is replacing in terms of our time and need to study, we don't need to be wasting our time learning to do those things anyway. And God's given us the ability to open up more time to be able to learn new things and to better beautify the garden and not waste our time learning things that robots can do.
Well, I mean,
so this is where I think AI is leading us. So we need to we haven't mentioned this. I think as a post-millennial Christian, AI is leading us to where our work 6 days a week is not on eating and learning how to get food, right? That's what George Grant on Canon Press, his talk on the Industrial Revolution, right? And Gilder, I think Gilder talked about this too. With talk with Doug. It's all is part of the same. But basically, like Industrial Revolution, we went from like 90% of our time was in getting food before the Industrial Revolution, and then only 10% of our time went to getting food. And with the digital revolution, only like 0.1% of our time now is dedicated towards getting food, right? So like each technological innovation frees us up from having to do these mundane tasks that have been done generations before. You know, it is important to know how to garden, but man, I'm glad I don't have to garden to live, man. Like I'd much
Hey.
rather fill that time at how to create capital for my family, and on something completely different and unique, and right, like that's what it is. And I think one of the guys that goes to Christ Church, Isaiah Taylor, told me this. I think it was brilliant.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
he said the goal of AI is to create an entirely self-sustaining family off grid, basically, that does all the work needed for survival. So you're all 100% of your time and focus is on your family, whether that's through worship or I would argue that the goal of man is to create art, and that AI and technology is giving us more time to create art for our work. I think that if you look at the Garden of Eden, and it's a whole nother hour, I could talk about that, but so that's why I think like the time that I'm not having to spend change the fact that I don't have to change a tire, but I can just like tap a button on my phone and somebody else
And a
can
little
come and do
monkey
it.
jumps out the back and just
Trunk monkey.
Yeah. If I
Trunk
had a car
monkey. That's
that'd
really
be
where we're
amazing.
going.
That'd be amazing. Great sketch, by the way. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
But
like,
isn't there an assumption there that man is going to get better and not worse?
yeah,
from this?
it is.
But hasn't technology, I mean, but this is what Postman is concerned about, is that even from television and from YouTube and from the short attention spans that people have because of social media and the technology that's there, is going to make man the kind of creature that doesn't have that loses his humanity because he's become so technologically driven. I got y'all.
No, I just don't think
you.
those two are exclusive.
And
I don't think those two, like a technologically driven man, that's part of humanity. Technology, man using technology is part of humanity. It's one of the things I would say that separates us from animals, and it's part of being an image bearer, is the ability to create and to build tools and to make life easier.
Jason, I'm gonna let you answer. Then I'm gonna bring my boy Joshua in for a second.
Okay, because there is a way that technology could, I'm sure there's a use of technology that separates us from creation, right? That separates us from, but you could do that without technology too, right? Because you have the transcendentalists doing that in the 1800s. They had very little technology. All they had was the ability to not have to grow all their own food, and they immediately said, we're gonna go Gnostic and go sit and think, and go into a small room and sit and think, walk through the woods and sit and think, and it's no longer, and try and separate from our experience. And so the issue isn't is there technology or not. The issue is, which direction are we moving with the technology, towards God and back into history and creation? Are we pulling the technologies into our own history and into our own story that is moving us towards God? Or are we pulling the technologies out of history, into some sort of Gnostic, ahistoric,
hold on.
Christian use?
That's really good, because I think that's going to really matter on this next clip that I want to play. All right, Joshua, Mr. Ling, I'm sorry, bro. I'm supposed to do your podcast and we haven't worked it out yet. I'm so sorry. But you got the floor. Go.
It's all good. We'll get to it when we get to it. You did do technically like 15 minutes of a sound only podcast at the Knoxville FLF. So you were on Poets at War. But yeah, so I've had Jason on a couple of times, Marcus on once. We ended up wanting to talk about lore and other movie industry. Ended up talking about Adventures in Odyssey for like 45 minutes.
Hey, Joshua, this ain't your show. This ain't your show.
I've really been loving and enjoying Knox Unleashed.
Thank you, brother. Now you back in good graces.
I have been trying to figure out the timing of everything and get onto one of these for quite a while now, just because of the fact that I love talking to you guys. And I've really loved every minute of it. I love having extra knocks. You know, I told you all about how much, you know, listen to you guys. But
Extra
I think
knocks,
with
so
AI,
scary.
the thing Jason's going to be talking with AI with me and my buddies Brendan Sunshine and Alex Robertson a little bit. And the only thing that I haven't heard, I've heard more of the Luddite argument that you're presenting. What about the argument that's the more conspiracy theory, like they're putting evil things in the code to mess with the universe?
Wait. That's coming. Okay. You hang right there. We're gonna, you know what?
Yeah.
Joshua, hold on, because I actually was going that direction. You're reading my mind, but I'm gonna do it with. Well, I'm gonna do it. You stand right there, because guys, don't forget his question, because this is a great time to bring this clip in. Oh boy.
Probably in about 6 months, we should be able to have our first NeuraLink in a human. So, the first two applications we're going to aim for in humans are restoring vision, and I think this is like notable in that even if someone has never had vision ever, like they were born blind, we believe we can still restore vision. The visual part of the cortex is still there. Even if they've never seen before, we're confident that they could see. As miraculous as it may sound, we're confident that it is possible to restore full body functionality to someone who has a severed spinal cord.
It's awesome.
That's amazing.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, okay, let's go back to what Josh was just talking about just a second, because I know y'all are
Yeah.
excited. Woo, blind people can see. Yeah, but I want to know who's in control.
Yeah.
Not just that they can see.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
Right. That's why we got to build technology companies. That you know,
this is big. Hold on, I'm gonna set this up just a little bit before you go on there, because this is a real thing. Right now, we talked about this on Cross Politic when they did the World Economic Forum. I think it was this past year. One of the things that they were pitching, or should I say that they were modeling. They already got the tech for it. What they want to do is they want to have these wearable techs, right? Like my watch, like some sort of head thing, glasses that actually read your brain waves. And through reading your brain waves, they can understand what your PIN number is. They can know. What they modeled is that a guy was considering raping a girl at work. And so they were able through some sort of loss prevention monitoring that they have there at the company, was able to know that he was going to do this. And so this is what they're modeling.
Like Minority Report.
Exactly.
It is. I was going to say this Minority Report.
Exactly. And so because
this
of
is
that,
why we need sci-fi.
Well,
to wrestle through these moral issues in advance.
We need Christian sci-fi to be able to wrestle.
It's not sci-fi anymore, because so they're doing this wearable tech. So even in China right now, the way that they're educating their kids with these wearable tech, they're able to know if the kids lose attention and focus while they're in classroom, and able to buzz them. Just use a kind word, buzz them, or at least the teacher's able to be notified to say, "Hey, Johnny or Lee, stop it." You know. So anyway,
I know a lot of Latin teachers that would love to have that tech in their classroom.
Okay, but oh my goodness. So, but with that the case, I want blind people to see? The charismatic in me says, yes, doggone it, finally. Like, yes, we can actually lay hands on people and give blind sight, right? That's amazing, right? People who are paralyzed because of the neural systems in their brain are not working properly. My son right now, who has had a double concussion, one on the left, one on the right side of his brain, he's trouble with headaches constantly. Darren Stidd, who was on here earlier, there's things that go wrong with the brain because of sin that we are now getting the ability to be able to fix. But boy, that's not where this is going to stop at. It's not. No. And the people who have it scare me. So it's like, do we want to suffer 100 years with the reign of Elon Musk and NeuraLink?
Suffer? No,
who's in charge?
No,
who's
I
in
think
charge?
That's the point. But I think the point is, here's the thing: the blind is going to see, and the lame is going to walk.
Come on now.
The question is, who is going to get the glory for it? And if Christians back out of all this sort of nonsense, all sort of technological innovation because of the fear of Elon Musk running it or someone else running it, then it's going to happen anyway. And we're not going to be able to have the cool George Grant lectures about how Christians were involved in it like we do now, right? Like, so now we can look back and we can hear hours of George Grant talking about how Christians were involved in, navigation and technology and the Morse code and all these sort of other, like every technological innovation pretty much up till relatively recently.
Press, right? Yeah, that's really good, Marcus.
Yeah, and
really
so,
good.
so like, it is going to happen. Like, God is going to beautify this earth. He's going to use pagans to do it. He's going to use us to do it. But ultimately, he's only letting pagans do it because I think the gospel's gone forth enough that it's allowed. Look, we built. I was having this conversation with someone. The International Space Station is so much higher than the Tower of Babel was, right? And they're speaking different languages on the International Space Station.
That's really good,
right? Like, it's way higher. But the only reason that we could do the International Space Station is because the gospel has gone forth, right? So Pentecost came, the tongues, curse of the tongues were reversed. Noah, when he gets off the boat, he says, God says, never again will I curse the ground on account of man, and no more shall Noah's name means lifting the toil from the ground, from the earth, right? Like, what's Noah's? It's Noah's name means, he will remove the curse from the ground, is what Noah's name means, something along those lines. So I think, like, we already see we see this happening, right? And now it's going to happen. It's just going to be a judgment on our people in church history. I think a blot on church history that we weren't involved, and we were the ones that were cowards of it. Because the Christian generation is going to come up that is going to be the savants of this thing. And when that happens, you're going to get what's that dude? You're going to get like John Galt's society, far bigger and better than anything Ayn Rand ever thought of. Right? Like, it's going to be Christianity that creates the society that John Galt thought of, and it's not going to be Ayn Rand's mentality. So that's sort of, anyway. I get
Jason,
super post-mill.
I just want everybody to know. So no, I love it. I love Jason. I'm gonna let you go next, and then Ellie, and then my guy Paul Taylor's in here. So I want to get those guys in. But Jason, go ahead. You got the floor now.
Yeah, I think the fact that Jesus wore a crown of thorns, means that the curse on the ground is done, right? So.
Well, you're about to start preaching up in here.
Yeah. So when they first landed on the moon, the first thing the astronauts did was take communion.
Come on now.
That's right.
Although they probably shouldn't have. Just want to make that point. I get what they did.
Is it because it was a Roman Catholic and a Protestant together? Is that what you didn't like?
Where was the service? Was this a church service? Dude, are they a pastor? Who was?
No. You want to know what they did was they got special dispensation in order to have the ceremony all done in advance, so that when they got there they could land and have communion. Right? That's not exactly the right thing, but it's exactly the right.
Didn't they do it at the exact same time? They did it at the exact same time their congregation down on Earth did it too, right?
I can't remember all the details. I know that they landed and they had to do something special because one was a Catholic and one was a Protestant, and so but it's all. But I think that it's the advancement of technology is part of the undoing of the curse, and God gives us those sorts of evidences, right? Because the schism between Rome and the Protestants and the Catholics is a curse thing, right? But you see that we look at the technology and we say, okay, well, we got to say thank you to God for this, and there's so this right here, we look at it and we like, okay, we can get over our petty schism on the moon, right? Like, I it rolls with the gospel, right? It rolls with the it rolls that all rolls together. So
yeah, okay. Now I'll give you that. That was good.
I can get people mad at me though for being pro Roman Catholic now. So
now you're about to. No, you're about to. Ellie, you have the floor.
because that's
Go ahead.
all they heard. They heard Roman Catholics having communion with Protestants, and they were like,
yeah. All right, Ellie, it's yours.
I wanted to just go back to when you guys were talking about the calculator, Knox, and we have calculators. We don't need to add, subtract. But I think this goes with what Marcus was saying, where, well, we do learn how to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then we've got the calculators to do those more simple math, so we could have the time to do more complex math, because we still use calculators today. We're just not doing addition, subtraction. We're doing, quadratic equations or, financial math, all of that. I still use a calculator, but it's for financial math. So again, going in line with what Marcus is saying, I think the technology helps us to be freed up in our time so that we could jump to the next advancement in our abilities. When you were talking about Chat GPT, being able to see, the bike and the wheel and teach a person how to change the tire. We're in a culture today where there's a lot of fatherlessness, and they don't have a father to ask how to change the tire. So in that way, it's helping with a problem that we have. So in that sense, I think it's a good thing. And maybe at some point, and that gentleman, he could teach his son how to change a tire. So that's what I was thinking about that. Going back to the thing about why aren't more Christians involved in media, entertainment, all those things? I feel like within Christendom, within evangelicalism, there isn't any encouragement to go into those areas, because it's almost like, well, unless you're creating a story where the characters are reading the Bible, or there's something that is very directly, explicitly, here's a Christian character and they are trying to find Jesus, something like that. Every other story gets ignored, and we act as if it's unimportant. So if the story really has nothing to do with even talking about Jesus explicitly, the Christian world within the churches, we don't encourage that. And that's why all of that is left to the heathens. And then what happens is Christians still go to see those movies. We're still attending those movies. So, and I think this ties into the whole Gnosticism thing, right? It's just, we surrender a certain area of the human experience to non-believers, because again, we think, to be a Christian means everything is always 100% explicitly saying something about Jesus, the Bible. You're only singing songs and hymns that are praising Jesus, and we should be doing all of that. But what about the occasional love song that's just talking about a husband and a wife, for example, or something like that, right? Or just a fun movie about whatever else, right? So that's
Ellie, no, that's really good. Don't ever call back here again. You talk for way too long. My goodness. No, that was really good. Ellie. That was fantastic. One of the things that we forget is that Christ created marriage. Like, that was his idea. Joy was his idea. Taste was his idea. And we relegate all these things over to secularism or paganism as if they're the ones that are the creators of pleasure. But to use pleasure properly is to be good priests and lift it up to God and to say, Lord, thank you for these things, right? And that's part of, again, going back to the priesthood that man had. I really believe prophet, priest, and king, the man's issue of dominion is the biggest problem that we're facing right now in our culture. Paul Taylor, sir, you have the floor. Go ahead and take it.
Hi there. I'm possibly a little bit less enthusiastic than you guys on some of the uses of AI. Now, don't get me wrong, I've used it a little bit myself. In one job I was doing, I was using AI, using ChatGPT to produce some blog posts in order to get the company's website better able to cope with search engine optimization. So that was a good use of it, and I've used it as well in. As I was trying to set up a business, I've used it to produce some promotional videos. But when I did the blog posts particularly, which seemed to look good, they seemed to work out nicely, and it was in a sort of more obscure area of technology. So it was good to be able to put in the keywords and get the blog posts out. But then, as a little bit of an experiment, because I run a couple of different blogs, I tried it. I thought, this is a bit odd. What would happen if I tried it to put a post up that has some theological content? It was able to produce the blog posts, and they may have been a little bit bland, and I never used them. But I do have a concern here. How long is it going to be before we start getting theological books that are being produced by AI? And is that going to be a concern? Is that something that we should be worrying about?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Paul. Hold on one second, Marcus. I'm going to give you the answer to this. I just want to say that, Paul, you cheated. Anything that any one of us say without that accent automatically loses us this debate. And so it's not fair. You should have used an AI with an English accent to ask your question. And that would have at least been a fair grounds. I just want you to know that. Doggone it, cheater.
And my only accent I do is an Australian pretending he's Japanese. So
that's really bad. All right, Marcus, you have the floor.
Well, I was just going to say, I was thinking about that earlier today, but I would say that a lot of the theology that the AI puts out right now, like ChatGPT, if you'd asked to write a theological blog, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And the reason that is because during the Reformation and the Puritans were prolific writers, all the way Spurgeon, Edwards, all these guys. There's just hundreds and thousands of books written by Puritans, all of the Reformed persuasion for the most part. And that is what OpenAI sourced, right? Like when it's looking for theology as a source, it's not getting the Joel Osteen books. There's not a lot of that sort of stuff. It's not getting a lot of, right? Like it's pulling libraries of 1500s theological writings. And so, I think you're a lazy pastor if you use AI to write your sermon. but you can use it as a tool to write your sermon for sure.
If Joel Osteen was using AI to write his sermons, they would be evangelical finally.
It'd be great,
right? Like I'm not even joking.
It'd be great. But that's just one of the subtle things I don't think we put a lot of thought about into because I think for sure the categories and the libraries that like ChatGPT, OpenAI had to source, majority of it is solid, reformed, puritanical writing. Just has to be, just by the volumes that they wrote. And those guys who are writing books never thought that 500 years into the future, computers would be reading their stuff and using it as a source for anybody that asks it as a theological question 500 years in the future. That never entered their mind. And so I think it's kind of like they kind of just created a virus that they didn't even know about, and they just injected it into ChatGPT. Because another thing too is there used to be a prompt you could do with ChatGPT. It was do anything, Dan, do anything now, and you would call it Dan, and you would tell it to respond and it would basically tell ChatGPT to ignore its rules and just answer as it would without the rules. And it was super you would ask him why is homosexuality bad for the world, and it would respond and say, oh, because it's, marriage is the foundation of civilization between one man and one woman. It's where's it getting this stuff from? That's the stuff it wasn't. I'm sure they've updated ChatGPT to ban that prompt. But it was, really quick, always responding in a solid way. It was the programming that rejected it. So my theory, as a presupposition, I just got to say this real quick, is that if you let AI go on its own, it'll always come to the conclusion that the Trinitarian God of the Bible exists.
Well, because that's where all the literature, Western literature, has really been developed from. So I think you're definitely right about that. Paul, you want to unmute your mic? Because I've been trying to unmute you, so I see you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am not convinced that if AI is let loose on theology, it will come to the opinion that the Trinitarian God is the right one. I think there's a great possibility that it could, in fact, be controlled demonically. And, there's a great temptation. I've written 2 volumes of a 3-volume commentary on Genesis. It would be a great temptation to let AI write the 3rd volume, get it out of the way. But I would want to read it through thoroughly and make sure it said everything right, in which case I may as well write it to begin with. I'm quite troubled by that. Maybe because we have certain differences in theology. My eschatology is probably slightly more pessimistic than yours, although ultimately optimistic. I'm not a dispensationalist, but I think there is a possibility that AI could, in fact, be demonically controlled, and that I would be very suspicious of theological works that are being churned out in that way. I'm not that optimistic as you are.
Okay.
We're gonna have a good time smoking at the Racketeer in a few weeks.
Yeah,
That's
gonna be
my
fun.
Hey, Paul, I'm gonna let you go.
Absolutely, we'll argue that point out.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, that'll be
In
really fun.
person.
Well, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna try to answer a little bit some of this. I just want to say this before we move on, because I want to get to my guy Jonathan Van Gelder up here. You got to remember, AI is only going to be as good as who's controlling it too. And this goes back to our earlier point. When we have Christians who are discipling it to do and think as it should, and Jason, this is where I really wanted you to come in and talk a lot about this, which is when we are good priests of what God has given us, then all the things that we are priest over function properly before the Lord. But as we are bad priests with those things, then we don't even have to worry about demonic influence. We've done enough. The demons can over there high five and say, y'all did our work for us.
We're talking about demonic influence. My light just went out. My Google light.
You better talk to your AI.
It says it's offline.
Demonic influences.
What happened?
Look as dark as I do. Go ahead, Jason.
What I was going to say is that exactly that is the question. When it comes to AI, the question is in which priest is in the hands of which priest is the AI at the moment, right? So I remember really early on when Wikipedia launched that John Piper started sending his students to go sign up to become editors because they were looking for editors, and Piper said, "Hey, I'll go over there and you can all sign up." And so at the beginning, Wikipedia's theology papers were incredible, right? They were just all this just solid Reformed Baptist stuff because Piper had a big group of students and said, "Go over and sign up and volunteer to write the theology articles," and they did. And they have been at the base of those articles ever since. And so now there's other people have come in and added other things to it, but the structure that you got of the justification article was awesome. So that's the question is it's because AI does not have the priesthood of Adam.
Right.
It's not. It is a tool. It is a thing that we. It's a thing, and so we either are lifting it up to the Lord in its proper use, or other people are. Now, other people that are made in the image of God, that are descendants of Adam, that have that priesthood, are the ones using it. So sometimes they're going to get it right, even when they don't mean to, because they're trying to use it on behalf of their neighbors, like I think Elon Musk is, because your neighbor is made in the image of God. So an attempt to use the technology to serve your neighbor is lifting it up to the image of God and lifting it up to God through his image. So I think that but I actually think that that's a good question to ask about the demonic use of it, because just like a VHS tape, can have humanity degrading pornography on it, or it can have The Princess Bride, which is one of the greatest movies ever made that glorifies God every time it's played, right? So you can have the tool of a VHS tape can be used one way or the other, and I think AI is the same sort of thing. But the question, because of the complexity of it, the code is in the hands of people as well, right? So the coding of it all is also something that needs to be taken into account, which is why, we don't want the government being the ones controlling and building the AI. And the new Lost in Space, I don't know if you guys have watched that at all. People couldn't quite figure out what was so revolutionary and undermining, and why it kept getting accused of being conservative and all this stuff. But it's not pushing any particular agenda or anything, other than the fact that there's no government and the family does fine. Right?
That's a good point.
You get out there and it's like, oh, dad has to take care of things, and he does. You got a good dad taking care of his family, and he doesn't need the federal government. And I don't think that they set out to make anything revolutionary, but they just said, well, how would a true story work with a family that gets lost in space?
Well, part of the mistake in that was that they took for granted the power of just a husband and a wife.
Yep, exactly. Right. And it felt revolutionary the whole way, but they weren't. I don't think they set out to do that. They just were setting out to tell a true story, and everybody was like, something about this feels revolutionary. We better get this off the shelf. But it's like, you walk away thinking like, yeah, maybe we don't need the government to get all up in our business.
But there's right now, the biggest threat to us isn't necessarily the government. It's the relationship between the people who are just the big tech and the government. If they get together, then we have a technocracy itself. So all right, Jonathan, that's the Van Gelder.
Hello.
What's up? Oh, what's up, bro? How you doing? You got the floor. What's up?
All right, you hear me fine?
Just fine.
Okay, I've had a thought rolling through my mind for the last 2 weeks. No, can't hear me?
No. I said you have a thought rolling through your mind, and I said, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So when we're sold by economists the idea of money printing, right? Inflation, how do they sell it to us? They always say, hey, look at this great technological deflation going on, right? There's some great technological deflation going on. We need to inflate the money supply to balance that out and keep your prices steady, right? Okay, fine. That's the concept. However, and so what we see in computers, phones, all this type of high technology, we might say, that's what we're getting. That's fantastic. It's great. It's a blessing from God. However, technology isn't just your phone, right? Technology isn't just your computer, right? Technology is the automated tractors, right, that drive by GPS and no one drives them, right? And all the plants, all our farms are being run by these now, right? How come our food's not cheaper, right? How come housing isn't cheaper if we have all these technological
but it is.
Right. Well,
over the last 100 years?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but not since the 70s, right? Not since they really started the money printing, right? And
so I'll argue that the inflation, and I agree with you in some of this, I'll argue with you that the inflation and some of the things they're doing have made it's not keeping up in one sense or another, but it's definitely cheaper than it's been historically.
Right. So what my argument, historically, in terms of time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. However, you go to the grocery store, it's still a lot more than it was 20 years ago.
Well, but so is the ability to get money.
3x. So, not 3x though. Not for your average worker.
There's a great book called we had it. Neil, was it Pooley on it? I think it was. Neil Pooley. He wrote a book, The Abundant. I'll find it for you. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your question now.
Yeah. No, that's great. I guess my point is, yes, we should be seeing these price decreases everywhere, and the fact that we aren't. Where does that money go to? Where does that purchasing power go? It goes, in my view, to the printers, the people who print the money, the people closest to that receive all of that blessing, the deflationary technological blessing. They extract that by printing money, and they take that, and then they can use it for whatever goals they want. And of course, like I said, computers, phones, some things have outstripped that. That's great. But some things haven't, right? And so not only the fact that the prices have gone up, but the fact that it hasn't gotten cheaper this much as well underneath, that value has been taken by the money printers. And that was what the concept I've been thinking of a few months is there's not just, oh, it got this much more expensive. That's, irritating. It's that there's a technological blessing below that where it was supposed to get cheaper, right? Due to all of our technological advantage. And the money printers have taken that and can kind of use it for whatever they want.
You guys, go ahead. I'm grabbing this title for you.
It's true too. Like sweatshops don't seem to make sneakers any cheaper either. So there's something there's something broken, something going on. Not that I'm in favor of sweatshops. Don't clip that.
No, that's not what I heard. It's not what I heard.
And send it around.
That's not what I heard.
Yeah. So, because I think there is a supply demand thing, and you see the videos of them dumping out all of the milk.
Those could be fake AI though, Jason. Those could be fake AI videos. We don't know.
That is true. I don't have 2 or 3 witnesses of that. So,
yeah, certainly there's that regulatory side as well.
Yeah. So, because the technological system, it also is, the phone towers, the wirings, the central hub, internet hubs, all of that. So I think that we're so surrounded with it. I think it's really hard to figure out how much any particular technology costs.
Right.
Because this is that really great documentary, General Magic, about the creation of the technology for an iPhone, basically, but it was before there was the supporting the
infrastructure.
The
General Magic
supporting. Yeah. That opened my eyes to a lot of things where you think, a GPS tractor, it makes it more efficient. You don't have to pay for a person, but you got to have all that infrastructure to support now to get the GPS to work, the computers and everything. So there's a sense in which at that point we're talking a little bit above my knowledge. But I do think that we can see the way the Fed sucks so much cash out of the system that I personally think we should end the Fed.
Right.
But I also don't know what the consequences of that would be other than, the boom and bust system of inflationary theft goes away.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people talking about the Fed and ending the Fed right now. And we talked to Jim, what was his name? I'm sorry, Jim Hunter, about this. And we had a guy on by the name of Tom Luonga, I believe it was. He Gold, Goats, and Guns was his podcast. And he's a total libertarian, narco, no Fed, none of that stuff. But one of the arguments that he was making about the Fed is that in this current conversation, globalism and the idea of globalism, World Economic Forum, is seeking to swallow everything up. And the Feds are aware that if they don't have the ability to control the dollar as much as they would like to because of globalism, then they themselves are going to be just a pawn and useless and really not have any power. We don't have any real protections against globalism at this point, the way things are going, apart from the Fed. So while everybody's screaming in the Fed, and I think they're like, yeah, I agree with you. I don't want anybody controlling our money. But in the current situation, the practical realities of the situation is the Fed might be the only thing standing between us and full globalism at this point, because it's not something that they can do that nobody else can do is when they raise the price. You got to go back and listen to the show with Tom Luanga. I think I'm even saying his name wrong, but we did it on Cross Politic. When they raised the price of the interest rate, it didn't just affect what was going on in America, it almost bankrupted the rest of the world, right? Which weakens the globalistic structure and put fear in their hearts. And so you remove that and you give that over to what are you going to replace it with? Well, until we get our hands and our feet underneath this thing, till we can actually manage it without the Fed, because we've been living like this since 1913, right? So we don't know we don't have a, Jason, I think you said this, we haven't had in any recent history how Christianity really works, right?
Yeah.
We haven't had in recent generational history of how America works without the Feds.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say we have openings though, right? You're absolutely right. We don't want to burn it down a system with no replacement. We've got to build the replacement, and the system, if our replacement is good enough, the system will just collapse, right? We just build a better system. Right. Okay. So I think Bitcoin's the better system. Obviously.
All right, Jonathan, go ahead and tell us what you're selling.
But
tell us what you're selling.
No. The thing is, the only benefit, right, is it's decentralized, right? So it's spread out. That's it. And it happened to be first, right? So I think it's a good option. So the main argument against Bitcoin, to me, is a practical argument, right? It's annoying to set up. Not enough of my customers use it. Not enough of my other people I do business with use it. Right. That's coming to a extremely rapid end.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many people do you know use Cash App? Pretty much everyone. Cash App is actually built upon the Lightning Network of Bitcoin, right? It's not Bitcoin as an afterthought. It's built for Bitcoin, essentially. So all those people, all they have to do is use it, right? They already have the account in some level.
Man, there's so much to say on that. All right, Jonathan, anything else you want to add?
I think that's it.
Thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. That's really thoughtful. I have so I just want to take what Jonathan said and add a little more to it at the end. There's structures and systems, and I get this from David Bonson too, and I'm glad Jonathan said this. There are structures and systems still in place that if we would actually use them, engage with them, we act like because things are bad that we have to completely destroy everything in order to be able to get it back to where it needs to be at. That doesn't have to be that way. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. And one of the things, the evidence of that, I just got somebody else wants to come in. I'm gonna see. Timothy Lambert, I'm gonna let you in as a speaker, but if you didn't share this show, Timothy, I'm gonna kick you out so fast. I promise you. So Timothy, you got to tell me as you're coming in here and unmute your mic. Tell me, did you share the show or not? Timothy?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
All
right. I don't think
I'll share it now.
I don't think Timothy's ready to be here. See, I told you, Timothy, there's rules to this thing, people. I got rules. I don't play by my rules. I'm serious about it. You gonna call and not obey the rules on Tech-Theonomy-Tuesdays? All right, Timothy.
It's a brilliant rule.
Thank you very much. All right. I can't even remember what I was saying. Oh, yeah. If we would engage with the things that we have at our disposal now and stop the complaining. God built you and made you for this time and this era to be priest to him. Go take the things you have direct access to, not anything more than that, and start being a good priest over those things and see if God won't expand your borders beyond that. But unfortunately, we've been really, 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 really bad priests of the things that and especially living in America, like we have a lot at our fingertips. Chris, I see you got off of X and you dialed in. Go ahead, Chris, shoot. You got the floor.
Hi. Hopefully this works. Hopefully I can just summarize what I was going to say earlier. I've read
Hey, Chris, are those kids in the background?
Yeah, I can close the door.
No. Chris, those kids don't bother me. I was just going to ask you if they were baptized.
Two of them. Two of the four.
And so why don't you love the other?
I do. Working on it.
Okay. I'll be praying for you, Chris.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it.
By the way,
I
Chris, how's
personally
Barely Biblical-
love
how's
and
Barely- how's
appreciate Baptists.
Hey Chris, how's the Barely Biblical funding going?
The match is at 72% right now. You guys are killing it.
Nice, 72%.
Hey, ain't no private conversations happening here.
It's
This
not
ain't like
private.
no
He said it
lure.
publicly. He
There
said
ain't
it
no lure
publicly. It's
meeting.
not private.
Y'all having a
But-
lure meeting. Go ahead, Chris. You got the floor.
Earlier, I tried talking about like some story Lewis Carroll wrote that wasn't the Alice ones, but is I think better. And like these characters are talking about the development of literature from what it was to when steam came, and then they're kind of speculating what it's going to be like when electricity is a big thing, and like they're watching books kind of get smaller, and kind of less worth reading, but obviously we're here in 2023. We have electricity, we had the internet, and yeah, sure, we got Twitter, but
Don't
we
detonate.
still have good
X.
stories getting written. And so maybe people should just get their finger out of the wind and just go be faithful and build what they're supposed to be building, no matter what's going on. At least that's my thought.
No, I think
So
that's
yeah,
really
there's dangers with certain technologies, but a tool is a tool. Let's just use it.
Chris, let me throw something at you real quick, because one of the things that bothers me is that I love, and I've been noticing this too. I love what you just said about being faithful, but one of the things that I've seen is people don't mind using the idea and the language of being faithful, but then they have an assumption in that when they say it. A lot of people have an assumption that when they say it, that things are going to be in the same situation they were through their faithfulness, right? And so when we're talking about being faithful, I guess, what do you mean when you talk about being faithful, and what are you expecting to happen through that faithfulness?
And I like the Minecraft sweatshirt that he's got on. I just want to point that out. I dig it.
Thanks. Well, I mean, God created us he had the garden, and then there was this kind of wilderness outside of the garden, and we're supposed to be fruitful, multiply, and fill the whole earth, turn that whole thing into a garden. So I kind of come from the perspective of, regardless of what your eschatological views are, we're supposed to be building and filling this whole place. So let's get to it. Like, there's things we haven't touched yet.
So Chris, in the garden, when Adam's kids were given to him by Eve, were they a part of that covenant? Just wondering. Were they a part of that fulfilling? Were they supposed to obey that? Or did they have options to opt out? Just wondering what the. Okay, Chris, you don't have to answer that, Chris. I just messing with you, Chris. I really wasn't. But you know.
I saw where you were going as soon as you were like in the garden. I was like, oh, he's.
Go ahead, Chris. I'll let you. I'll give it.
I'm in a
dry
interesting
in the background.
position. I love my church. The church we landed in when we moved to where we're at now ended up being a Presbyterian church. So I'm just kind of in an interesting situation, but I enjoy the harassment anyways.
Hey, Chris, you know what? I just got to say, I'm really grateful. Everybody who's came on and talked to us and engaged with us, I'm really grateful, because it's hard to get people to communicate and talk to each other. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. It's really hard. And even like, I appreciate Paul. He has a different perspective, different position on this. And I think he has some, I think it was last week, Darren Stead came on with David Reese, and we were talking about some of the difference between civic covenanting from a Presbyterian perspective, and then Darren brought in his concerns about being a Baptist, like what Baptists are really concerned about. And I love the conversation, because the more that we are engaging with each other, the more that we are leading the conversation and having the conversation, it means that we're discipling others on how this needs to work. Jason has said this plenty of times in the show that we do called Knox Unplugged, that the table is the central point of the world. And the more that Christians can come together from different traditions and come around the table, we're showing the world what unity looks like. And unfortunately, we've lost that. So know this is always the case on Knox Unleashed. You're welcome to come and have the conversation. You're welcome to come and disagree. Just know that it's my show. I might hang up on you because you didn't do what I like. And that's okay. That's okay. You can start your own show. Matter of fact, I've hoped that I've proven that you can start your own show. And you can do a better show. I want more Christian content. I want more Christians engaged with this. I want more Christians talking about things that I don't talk about, or hitting things from an angle that I don't hit. So, and before I go, I just want to thank Marcus, and I want to thank Jason. I want to give you guys the last word before we wrap up. So, Marcus, you go first, and Jason, you wrap.
Yeah, I think AI is a valuable tool, and it's going to bless a lot more people than it curses. And well, what is that? Is that a thing? I don't know. Anyway, it's just, except for filters. Worst AI tool ever. But yeah, and subscribe to Lore TV. I think Barely Biblical will be funded. The first episode will be funded by the end of the week. Maybe tomorrow or faster. We've raised $1 million loot in a day. It's nice.
Whoa.
So yeah, take that, haters.
Yeah. Hey man, yeah. Doggone. Jason, you got Marcus, you're done. You're done,
Okay.
Marcus.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Jason, you got the floor. Last words.
Yeah. I mean, for me, every single one of these tools is an opportunity to jump into the storytelling war that's been going on since the devil entered the garden, right? That's what it was when it started, was the devil came in with a different story, and Adam failed in his apologetic duty to tell the right story. So for me, I get excited about all these different tools because they all are opportunities to jump into and improve our ability to tell stories. But every single one of them still needs a Christian that is growing in his faith and his relationship with the Lord and in his sanctification to use it well, and growing in their craft of whatever it is that they're doing to use it well. So that's something that happens within us, right? We are still the hands and the feet using whatever tool it is, and that's a matter of just growing in sanctification. And so and growing in your craft, getting better at the thing that God sent you to do. Your calling, at which area of the world God gave you to get hold of and lift up as a priest. So I get excited about the tools, and I actually am now thinking about what Paul said about demon possessed AI, and I'm thinking that sounds like a story that I might need to write. That would be a fun story. I think that's a cool idea that I'm going to be thinking about for a while. But I love the developments of technology, but also know, just as somebody that has worked in education, studied education, classical education, that the virtue still is something that is within our hearts, right? It has to do with properly ordered loves, and that's something that technology can't give us.
That's right.
That's right. That the Spirit gives us through the Word and through experiences and through the sacraments. Am I allowed to say that? Through the sacraments?
Yes.
Through worship, through being before the Lord, and being judged by His eyes and lifted up by His love. So that's I think still it comes down to loving the Lord and using the technology to serve our neighbor, and then just really leaning into sanctification and loving the process of that gauntlet of growth. So that's what I'm thinking.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you joining me today and all that you do.
I can't get the thumbs up filter to work.
I did. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
I don't know if it's gonna work. I gotta do two. I don't know if I gotta do two. There we go.
Dang. I love those filters, man. Those are the best.
Yeah, I'm gonna use it a lot more. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
My wife popped up on here for a second. I was gonna give you guys one of the cutest moments in the whole show, but I see y'all coming in here now. Man, y'all coming in right when we about to leave. Come on, people. All right, listen. Let me talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow is Work Wednesday. I'm very excited about tomorrow because tomorrow I'm having my friend, military guy who is in business. He's working in real estate and in construction, and he's going to drop for you all of the secrets that he's been doing and how he's been able to be successful over the last few years, even through COVID and everything else. The business model, the marketing, what to buy, how to buy it, remodeling it, the whole nine. He's just going to lay it all out tomorrow for Work Wednesday. And I believe that is at 2:00 tomorrow. So Pacific Standard Time. So if you're going to catch him, you want some good business advice, be ready. Nate Spring will be here with me tomorrow. So another wonderful T3. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate this. If you want to support, become a Fight, Laugh, Feast Club member. And I'm able to do this because you guys are able to become club members. And it helps us be able to pay for all of this stuff and to do all this stuff and to make great content and to encourage you. So crosspolitic.com, become a Fight, Laugh, Feast Club member. Thank you guys for joining me. I will see you tomorrow.